Behind the global fame, behind the record-breaking albums, there's a story most people never truly see. The world knows Adele as a voice, powerful, emotional, unforgettable. But few know the reality behind that voice. The struggles, the sacrifices, and the moments that nearly broke her before she became a global icon. This isn't just a success story. This is the truth behind the spotlight. Long before the fame, before the sold-out arenas and global recognition, Adele was just a girl growing up in Tottenham, North London, a place far removed from the glamorous world she would one day dominate. Born in 1988, Adele Laurie Blue Atkins didn't grow up surrounded by wealth or privilege. In fact, her early life was defined more by absence than abundance. Her father left when she was still very young, leaving her mother, Penny Atkins, to raise her alone. It wasn't an easy life. Money was tight. Stability was uncertain. And like many children growing up in similar conditions, Adele had to learn early on what it meant to rely on very little and still keep going. But if there was one thing she never lacked, it was emotion. Her mother played a huge role in shaping her world. Despite the struggles, Penny made sure music was always present in their home. From soul legends like Etta James to the raw vulnerability of artists like Amy Winehouse, Adele grew up surrounded by voices that didn't just sing, but felt. And she absorbed everything. At a young age, Adele wasn't just listening to music. She was understanding it. She connected deeply with lyrics about heartbreak, pain, and longing, emotions that most children her age wouldn't even begin to process. In many ways, music became her escape. School wasn't always easy for her. She didn't fit the typical image of a future star. She wasn't polished, she wasn't chasing attention, and she certainly wasn't trying to be famous. But she had something far more powerful: authenticity. She eventually enrolled in the Brit School for Performing Arts and Technology, a place known for producing major talents. But even there, Adele didn't stand out in the way you might expect. She wasn't the loudest in the room. She wasn't the most ambitious. And she definitely wasn't chasing the spotlight. In fact, at that time, fame wasn't even the goal. She just wanted to sing. But sometimes, the most extraordinary journeys don't begin with ambition. They begin with something much quieter. A feeling. A need to express something the world hasn't heard yet. And Adele had that, even before anyone else noticed. Everything began to change in a way no one, including Adele herself, could have predicted. It wasn't a grand plan. It wasn't a carefully crafted strategy. It was something far more unexpected, almost accidental. It was something far more unexpected, almost accidental. During her time at the Brit School, Adele recorded a few demo tracks, nothing too polished, nothing meant for the world to hear. They were raw, emotional, and deeply personal. The kind of songs you create not for fame, but for release. One of her friends took those recordings and uploaded them online. And that single moment changed everything. Because what Adele didn't realize at the time was this: her voice wasn't just good. It was rare. It didn't sound like anyone else. It carried pain, honesty, and a kind of emotional weight that people could feel instantly, even through a screen. Soon after, her demos caught the attention of XL Recordings, an independent label known for recognizing unconventional talent. They reached out, and just like that, the girl who never chased fame suddenly found herself standing at the edge of something massive. But this was only the beginning. In 2008, Adele released her debut album, 19. It wasn't loud. It wasn't overly produced. And it didn't follow the typical pop formula, dominating the charts at the time. Instead, it was something else entirely. Honest, raw, real. Songs like Chasing Pavements introduced the world to an artist who didn't need flashy visuals or controversy to capture attention. Her voice alone was enough, and people noticed. The album quickly gained traction, especially in the UK, earning her critical acclaim and a growing fanbase. But even then, no one could have predicted what would come next. Because Adele wasn't just rising, she was about to explode. Then came 2011, a year that would define not just her career, but her legacy. That was when she released 21, and everything changed. The album was born from heartbreak, a deeply personal breakup that left her emotionally shattered. But instead of hiding from that pain, Adele did something few artists dare to do. She turned it into music. Real music. Songs like Someone Like You and Rolling in the Deep weren't just hits. They became global anthems. They connected with millions of people who had felt the same pain, the same loss, the same vulnerability. And suddenly, Adele was everywhere. Her voice dominated radio stations. Her songs topped charts across the world. Her album broke record after record. But what made it even more powerful was this. She didn't change who she was. While the industry often pushes artists to fit a certain image, Adele stayed exactly the same. No extreme reinvención. No forced persona. Just authenticity. And that authenticity became her greatest weapon. By the end of it all, 21 had become one of the best-selling albums of all time. Not just of the year, of all time. A Girl from Tottenham had become a global icon. But success at that level comes with a price. Because while the world saw the awards, the fame, and the unstoppable rise, there was another side to the story. One that wasn't as visible. And one that would soon begin to surface. At the peak of her success, when everything seemed perfect from the outside, things began to change. Because fame, no matter how beautiful it looks, comes with a weight that few people truly understand. And Adele was about to feel all of it. After the overwhelming success of 21, the pressure was no longer just about making music. It was about living up to expectations. Millions of fans were watching. The industry was watching. The world was waiting for what she would do next. And suddenly, the girl who once sang for herself was now carrying the weight of global anticipation. But the pressure didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, Adele was also facing something far more personal. Love. Her relationship, which had once inspired some of her most powerful songs, began to crack under the weight of fame and reality. The balance between her personal life and her global career became harder and harder to maintain. And eventually, it broke. Her marriage ended. For many, it was just another celebrity headline. But for Adele, it was something deeper. It was the kind of pain that doesn't just fade away. Changes you. And once again, she found herself in a place she knew all too well. Heartbreak. But this time, it was different. Because now, the whole world was watching. There was also another battle she was facing. One that had followed her for years. Public scrutiny. From her appearance to her lifestyle, Adele became the center of constant attention. Every change she made was analyzed. Every decision was questioned. And when she went through a dramatic physical transformation, the reaction was intense. Some praised her. Some criticized her. Some didn't understand her at all. But what most people didn't see was this. The transformation wasn't about fame. It was about survival. Adele later revealed that she had been dealing with anxiety, something that had been quietly building over time. The pressure, the expectations, the emotional weight of everything she had been through, it became too much. So she chose to change. Not for the world, but for herself. And then, she disappeared. For years, Adele stepped away from the spotlight. No constant releases. No chasing trends. No trying to stay relevant in an industry that moves faster than ever. To the outside world, it felt like silence. But in reality, it was healing. She was rebuilding her life, away from the noise, away from the expectations, away from everything that once defined her. Because sometimes, the strongest thing a person can do is step back. Not everyone understood that, but Adele didn't need them to. When she finally returned with 30, it wasn't just another album. It was a reflection, a story of loss, growth, motherhood, and self-discovery. And once again, she turned pain into something powerful. But this time, it wasn't about proving anything to the world. It was about understanding herself. Because behind the voice, behind the fame, behind the global icon, there was still a human being, trying to find peace. Adele's story isn't just about fame. It's not just about records, awards, or global recognition. Because behind all of that is something far more real. A life shaped by struggle. a voice built from emotion, and a journey defined not by perfection, but by honesty. She didn't follow the rules of the industry. She didn't try to become someone else. She simply stayed true to who she was, even when it was difficult, even when it meant stepping away from everything. And maybe that's why her music connects so deeply, because it doesn't feel manufactured. It feels human. In a world where fame often hides the truth, Adele chose to reveal it, through her pain, through her silence, and through her voice. She didn't just become a global icon. She became something rarer, someone people believe in, and maybe that's the real story behind the spotlight. Not the fame, but the truth.